Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Welcome to this Q&A session. Hi, Pema. Okay, let's just generate a little bit Bodhicitta. That's always, I guess, the best setting. Let's do it like this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the genuine happiness devoid of suffering. May they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the genuine happiness devoid of suffering. May they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the genuine happiness devoid of suffering, and may they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. Okay, that's this. So thank you all for joining. I didn't prepare anything, of course, but I'm happy to discuss on whatever topic you want. Oh, there's one thing I prepared. This is it's about donation. So in the announcement, it was written like donation, and that is good because we need to make this show running. Or we have some costs, but there was written like suggested donation, and this was copy pasted from another announcement that a Berlin Center did in regards to a similar event. But please ignore that. You don't have to donate anything, and there's no suggestion at all. So that might be a little bit misleading that it was written there, or irritating, at least for me and also for somebody who wrote to me. So please ignore that. That is true for every event I do and will do in the future. You can always come, no matter what, So that's that. And then, yeah, I just received a couple of emails with questions. That's a little bit last minute, but so if you are here and wrote an email, then maybe it is best if you ask the question directly or live, Okay, let's start. Who would like to say what? Maybe just raise your virtual hand. I think that's the easiest. And if there's nothing, we can dedicate. Okay, Pima.
Thank you, Arne. My question is specifically around practice particularly with empowerment. Sometimes obviously in the empowerment, they might say very minimum, recite the mantra, for example. But what is your suggestion? Sometimes I can feel pressure about specific practices, like I must do them every day. And then it feels like this big pressure. I know people like Sokni Rinpoche has said, no more than 2 is probably advisable, but I still kind of have this question about, especially if you're doing Nundro, I know you can take little breaks from it, but at the same time, what do you suggest in terms of like fits into life when we do want to do some sadhana every day? What do you suggest?
What did Sokni Rinpoche say? No more than 2 sadhanas per day?
Well, he didn't. Sokni Rinpoche didn't say. He was answering someone's question on retreat, and he didn't say don't do more. But he said, he suggests that so that you don't feel pressure, that he recommends, that 1 or 2 is plenty.
1 or 2 what? Sadhanas?
Sadhana, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas, I will, the way my mind works is that if I've been told do this one every day, or I've had the empowerment for something, and then I think, well, I better do this one every day, like even the short daily practice or whatever, without going into specifics. But do you see what I mean? Then,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the question comes also because we are so fortunate to receive so many empowerments, and it's sort of easy. So we receive a lot, and many come with a commitment, even a daily commitment of formal practice. So that is really a thing, like, let's see if I get an answer out of that. But the originally it was more like, either we think this deity I want to practice, or our teacher is telling us to do so. And then we request the empowerment to be able to practice that. And then that is the end of the program. And then we just do it. But it feels like nowadays we maybe receive more empowerments that we can implement and practice. And then it's and then it's difficult if they are like daily commitments. So I know from some people who received many empowerments without having being attached to a daily commitment, that they, for example, do their Nandro every day, but then like once a week that sadhana, and another day in the week the other sadhana. So then over the month, a lot of they do everything they got empowered in. But that only works if you don't have a daily commitment, that you gave. And then the option, if let's just use the Dalai Lama as an example. If he is your main guru, and you received many empowerments from other teachers, and they gave you a daily commitment, then and there's so many thoughts. And the thing is also, like, sometimes we get the daily commitment after we receive the empowerment, so we don't know before the empowerment what we are getting into. So then we end up with too many daily commitments that we cannot keep. And then in that case, it would be important to then nobody but your main guru, let's say the Dalai Lama, can then release you from that. Then you could ask him or her, okay, I have these daily commitments, and then he might say, okay, out of these 5 daily commitments, do these 2 practices, to quote Tsoknyi Rinpoche, and then this will include all the other 3 commitments that you are not actually practicing. And I have observed that, and that is definitely a possibility, because remember when Atisha came to Tibet, he was wondering why he was invited. He thought everybody is doing so well, but then he saw that all of them practice, like in the morning one sadhana, before lunch another one, afternoon another one, evening another one. And then he understood that there was a reason for him to come, because he understood that they thought all the sadhanas are different, all the deities are different, so one has to practice each one of them. And then I think he famously said, like, you Tibetans, you practice 100 deities and don't accomplish any. And in India, we practice one deity and accomplish all, something like that. So, so therefore, yeah, but the guru who has the power can then sort of release you from commitments, too many commitments that you have, by because then, let's say he or she is saying, okay, only do these two sadhanas, they will represent and embody all the other sadhanas as well. And then this is sort of your new commitment, that you have with your guru, and then this is what needs to be kept. What do you think, Tammy?
Yeah, that's actually very, very helpful, very useful. Yeah, because my tendency is to then in the past, where I've then felt overwhelmed and then almost like blocked from doing any. And it was only when Atto Rinpoche died last month,
Yeah.
and a practice that he gave me, then it's like, now it's like the obstacles have been removed and every day I do practice. But then the 2 practices that Dzongzher Khyentse said for me to do, I'm not currently doing them. And now there's this Western conditioned guilt, like I'm supposed to do those, but right now I'm doing this.
I mean, it's a Vajrayana guild also. It's not only Western. They
Okay.
say if you keep that, if you take that empowerment, then this is the commitment. So it's therefore I cannot just say ignore
No,
it.
I know.
That would be too much.
Yeah.
But a guru with power can sort of essentialize it. Yeah.
Okay, that's very helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, yeah,
I
Arne
have a
Rinpoche passed
question.
away. Yes. Okay, cool. Who's the next one?
I sent you the following. Um, so in my opinion, eating meat represents the idea that one lives a better life than a stupid and senseless animal. So the opposite of compassion. Buddhist justifications for ignoring slaughter include the suggestion that a begging bowl or a blissful yogi purifies that violence. Is there a way to cultivate meat such that animals are liberated in their living or their dying?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I think that email I saw, that was sort of not too last minute. So in Buddhism, we could say we have like, there are many ways to classify it, but we could say we have three yanas, three vehicles. And so the foundational vehicle or Shravaka yana, especially if one is like an ordained nun or monk, then it is sort of common to eat, to beg for food and then eat whatever is given, you know. So they actually are allowed to eat meat because they should have this accommodating quality or preferencelessness, so that they just receive what are the leftovers somewhere, you know, or what people offer to them. But in Mahayana, and I guess your question is coming from there, then bodhicitta is sort of the heart of it, you know, and yeah, you mentioned compassion. So that is the heart of bodhicitta, let's say, together with wisdom. And then out of compassion, you of course, you cannot kill somebody or eat somebody. So from that point of view, one should be veg. And then in Vajrayana again, which is like let's say an elaboration of the general Mahayana, then generally we should also not eat meat. But then we do have these special ceremonies. You know, maybe you have heard Gana Chakra or Tsok practices, where then symbolically some meat is offered, but there are also many debates upon it, you know, if that is necessary or not, or maybe or even if it's necessary, that there's a symbolic kind of meat offered, that this is taken from a dead animal, you know, that, I don't know, that you found near the road or something. So like, but the essence in Vajrayana is also to have bodhicitta, so to not kill, you know, and not eat meat. They only use it in specific ceremonies to then overcome any dogmatism, you know, that you become, yeah, too stuck with the vegetarian preference. But yeah, when we talk about the general Mahayana, and I guess your question is coming from there, then yes, it's not, yeah, it's not okay, you know, to eat meat. And I think you said it, yeah, it implies some feeling of superiority or something. And even, I mean, when we talk about precious human life, there indeed is a hierarchy, but it only means like the human is more conducive for practice to attain enlightenment. But that is just one aspect of it. But the main thing is we are all having the Buddha nature, and we all want to be happy, and we all don't want to be suffering. So from that sense, we are all equal. And based on that, we should not eat meat. Definitely not.
Yeah, I get the impression that Vajrayana is quite wholesome with consuming things you wouldn't normally consume. However, I've encountered like ideas that you can substitute meat and wine for, say, like some kind of plant-based substitute, or even just a visualization for the Gana Chakra. And I guess I'm also interested in whether under Rinpoche there are guidances for substitutes in such a ceremony, if they're essentially a type of food that you wouldn't normally be eating.
Yeah, there's not really like a substitute. Yeah, that's the thing, that it was introduced as a substance that we normally don't eat, That's why it was introduced in Gana Chakra to overcome our clinging or preference of not eating it. So now if we are meat eaters, Rinpoche is saying it doesn't fulfill any purpose, to then have meat in that Gana Chakra. So he's usually so that is like okay, and in this context, I also remember Khenpo Tsotam Gyatso Rinpoche and Gyatso Khenso Rinpoche. They then say you can then include whatever you feel aversion to, what you're normally not eating. And it was also in the time of SARS, this similar to like a pandemic or epidemic thing many years ago in Taiwan. Then somebody asked him, okay, what about including these viruses, as a substance? And he said, yes, that could be an option, even if it was a public teaching, so therefore I'm happy to quote it. So he said, like, even if you die earlier because of consuming that substance, the practice of non-duality and preferencelessness is so strong and so important. But that is a very daring statement in practice. But yeah, it should. But I think the essence is, yeah, we could be daring, that is also what Khenpo Tsotam Gyatso Rinpoche said. We should be daring, and include stuff that we normally don't want, dead insects or something. I think he said, But then if we don't, this is more like a view-focused answer. But if we just practically, then often I know people just use tofu, which works materialist, like on the material level, usually as a meat substitute. But yeah, it doesn't change anything. Or it only makes a difference to our mind. If we have a lot of aversion to tofu, then this is a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, these two teachers that I mentioned, they really said, yeah, include whatever you feel, that you have aversion to. On the other hand, there are also, like, again, symbolically, there's urine and things, that could also already work. Yeah. What do you think?
In the feast offering, there's a consecration of the food where I suppose all of these aversions are transferred onto the offering substance.
Yeah, and another thing maybe could be worthwhile to mention is also like, yeah, so those practices are always to go beyond any references or preferences. So yeah, that's what I said earlier. Like, therefore, meat was included because people at that time had aversion to meat, and nowadays, yeah, sometimes yeah, people don't have aversion to alcohol, and then but use alcohol in the practice, and then too much, they like it too much. So that is also then, of course, defeating the purpose, like eating too much meat in it, Yeah, sorry, that was unnecessary side note, but in the question you had, in the first question, you had something else like slaughtering or something. Did you say something about that?
Well, yes, because in Tibet, as you know, there were monasteries that couldn't be supported with farmland food, but had to be supported with meat. And it's similarly true for the steppe region. That their diet is very strongly meat-based. So perhaps in those regions there have been developed ways of farming animals that does not cause too much suffering.
Yeah. I mean, this is also like in Europe, right, or everywhere, I guess there's also like a movement to to treat the animals well, even though they will be slaughtered at some point. So that is, of course, better than not doing it. But yeah, there's no like solution to really remove the suffering, right?
And is there a way to guide the consciousness of an animal at the slaughtering?
Yes.
So that
If I mean, there are practices like pova. I'm sure you have heard that.
yes.
Like for those who didn't hear it, so it's like it means transference. So it means like either you yourself as a practitioner or you guiding somebody else to transfer the consciousness in the time of death to clear light or pure realm. And yeah, that is definitely possible. But yeah, the butcher needs to be um, quite experienced in order to do that, you know. But of course, we could do it also like without being the butcher, but just being nearby. We could do the practice for the animals, of course, yeah. But yeah, one needs to be quite. I'm not able to do that, you know. So, but there are masters who can, yeah, and hopefully you are.
Yes, hopefully.
I think Dokyense Yeshe was really good in that. I'm just saying his name because yesterday Alaksenka Rinpoche gave some online transmissions and he's the reincarnation of Dokyense Yeshe. He was like super good in that, you know. He had this big pipe, you know, and just by hitting the people, you know, then the consciousness was liberated, you know. Okay, guys, what else? Who else? Okay, then I just start with something that I just read in an email. So the question is about root guru. That is also like a famous question, and or how to find a guru. And that, yeah, that's super difficult and super individual. I mean, it's difficult to give a general answer because it is individual. But yeah, the definition I think by Khyentse Schuko was or is a root guru is the one who's like, I mean, he gives like 3 criteria, but the main thing is the root guru is the one who, for the first time, introduces you to the nature of the mind. That could be like a direct instruction by the root guru, or it could be also in the context of giving the 4 empowerments. Then the Khyentse Schuko was also talking about giving the 3 vows, you know, but that is a little bit secondary, I feel. But this first time introducing to the nature of mind, that is the thing to be one's root guru. But so therefore there can only be one, and like by that definition. But of course that can we might lose that recognition because we are too busy and distracted and stuff. And therefore yeah, there might be the next ones who again reintroduce us to it. Nevertheless, this doesn't because I'm trying to answer, there were a few emails on the same topic, so I'm trying to answer them. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean we can not have gurus and teachers now already, even before having a root guru. Yeah, so in other words, yes, of course, we can learn from so many, we can follow different teachers in different traditions and have a lot of devotion and respect and discuss things with these teachers. And that is yeah, not only working and is helping us and supporting us on the path in our practice, but it's also yeah, a way to find out to which guru we are very feel mostly connected. Like I think Chokchen Ponlop Rinpoche said, like how the guru is answering your question and how you feel then, you know, that for him is or was or is the important thing. But yeah, this teacher-student business is also not something that can be approached too conceptually, you know, or geographically, or based on other preferences. So my point is like it's like falling in love, you know. This is also not something that one can really plan or conceptualize, and therefore it's happening. But it is happening because there is the connection, you know. And geographically, I meant it doesn't make it. I would not marry my neighbor just because she is like next door, you know. So therefore, also with a guru, of course, it's helpful if the teacher is nearby, but just being nearby is not the main criterion. So we should not just follow the guru because he or she lives in the same city, like as a main teacher. But we can of course learn from everyone, and Zongtse Khyentse Rinpoche is always encouraging us, you know, to have that openness and learn, and so that's very valuable, you know, to have many teachers like Jigme Khyentse Bangpo. But then if it really comes to more like a personal teacher who's really guiding us in our practice, or who even becomes a root guru, then of course it's good to have a base, you know, to have a home with this person. And one thing I think somebody asked from Brazil, she asked, yeah, if we have to meet that guru often or not, for further advice. And yeah, it sounds always, so now my answer, it sounds always like in the histories, you know, that the students spend so much time with the gurus, you know, we have like Naropa with Tilopa, or Mapa with Naropa, or Milarepa with Mapa, or Gampopa with Milarepa, and so on. Like it just, if you look at the Kagyu lineage, and yes, it was an intense time, but time-wise, it was actually not that long, you know. I think Gampopa was not spending many months with Milarepa in his entire life, you know. But yeah, of course, the quality was there, the intensity, the connection was there, and therefore so much good things happened. And that is definitely would be a good thing if that could happen with our teachers nowadays too. But yeah, because of globalization, they're also traveling so much, and that is also written in one email that, yeah, it's difficult, you know, like they have too many students, or one cannot really like spend much time with them. And the example was of Zongtse Khyentse Rinpoche was given. And yeah, that's true. It's so it's a little bit definitely different than in earlier times. But nevertheless, I feel with Zongtse Khyentse Rinpoche that one can still meet him and alone, and even if it's like 2 or 3 minutes, it does make a difference. You know, I mean, he's really able to, in few minutes, say so many things that change a lot and has a lot of impact for the next, let's say, 2 years when you meet him again, you know. So I think it's still totally possible, even though it's not like this, like hanging around with the guru for many months. Yeah, and for Khyentse Rinpoche, it's also not necessary, you know, to spend too much time together, you know, like for him, it's more important, yeah, to give these pointing out or these instructions, individual instructions, and then that we then really implement them, practice them, and then come back. And yeah, that was one question. Yeah, and it of course makes a difference, you know. The lady is writing which guru to choose, you know, because it's a different sangha, even though maybe they're in the similar lineage. We could use Zongtse Khyentse Rinpoche, Jigme Khyentse Rinpoche, Tsiga Kongtrul, and Rabshem Rinpoche as an example. So they are all hard sons of Jigme Khyentse Rinpoche. They're all sort of in the same lineage, really. They have studied and practiced so much together, and yeah, focused on the same guru and the same lineage. But still, then their style is very different, you know, like how they teach, what they teach, how much importance they put on what kind of practice. The Sangha is different, the locations are different geographically. So yeah, I'm just agreeing with you, the person who wrote the email. It does make a difference on many levels, you know, even though they are in the same lineage. Therefore, yeah, take your time, you know, and try to be around those teachers, and then try who really speaks to you, who really touches your heart, who inspires you most, who you think is embodying the qualities that you want to achieve, that kind of things. Okay, guys, what else? Please speak up.
Arne, it's Gosha here.
Yes.
I asked a question about and doing. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I sent an email with questions about doing recitation of the Immeasurable Life Sutra.
Wait, I have to find that. Did you send me the question? I can't even remember that one.
Yeah, it was only 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah. But can you essentialize the question again?
I was just asking about the differences between Amitabha, Amitayas, and Amitabha. The deity in the Immeasurable Life Sutra, Aparamita Nana.
Should get that. We were emailing about the link, no? No.
No.
Okay.
Gosha, Gosha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the third one I didn't hear properly, but yeah, I mean, what do you think so far about Amitayos and Amitabha? What is the difference?
For me, maybe a little bit in the different kayas. Amitabha would be more Dharmakaya. Amitayas would be more Sambhogakaya.
Yeah, this
But then I'm not sure because Aparamita Ayana is the deity in the Immeasurable Life Sutra. That that blows the theory that I had about Matthias and Amitabha.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Definitely, yeah, Amitayos is Sambhogakaya form of Amitabha. Yes, I agree with that. And Amitayos, yeah, is definitely one of these three long life deities. And Amitabha is sort of more than that, no? He is also like one of the 5 Buddha families, so he's representing like 20% of Buddha, but of course he's a complete Buddha. And he also has this Buddha realm, Devachen.
So then the Buddha realm Akanishta, is that Amitayas as well?
No, Amitabha's realm, I don't know. Does he have a realm? This I don't know.
No, I meant. I don't know.
No, I was only saying like Devachen or Sukhavati is the realm of Amitabha.
Okay.
But I didn't mention any realm of Amitayos. This I can't remember. If somebody remembers, please share. But yeah, with the Kayas, I think it's not so bad to think like that. Yeah, Amitayos is more Sambhogakaya. And yeah, for me, Amitabha is really like important in the 5 Buddha families. And I'm sure you have the node charts, with the 5 wisdoms and everything. Yeah, so I don't really have much to say on that. I'm sorry.
And the other question I had then was also in the prayer that we do to the 8 noble auspicious ones.
Yeah.
The 8 sugatas. Can you speak a little bit about those?
Are you talking about the 8 close sons of the Buddha?
No, the 8 sugatas.
Wait, let me Google that.
It's the prayer of the 8 noble auspicious
Yeah,
ones
of
that we
course.
do at the beginning. Yeah.
That's so. Yeah, I just show you what I found. I would not have had a good answer to that. So this you can find here in Rigpa like 8 Sugatas, and then they are mentioned here at least with the names. And yes, it's just yeah, they're this is in Nipan, which is theirs, right?
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay.
I can send you the link, which you're asking difficult
It's
questions.
okay. I can find it. It's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
just still put it here. Yeah, sorry, that was not so successful.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Then here in the chat, there's one hidden message and one is written. I just put them together. So he's asking, or she's asking, how to practice Rigpa and ordinary mind. These are labels that was only sent to me. And then I have had pointing out quite a few times, and it's a practice to remember to do, but I miss it. Yes, that is maybe a situation many of us have, that we have been introduced or pointed out a few times in our lives, but then yeah, we forget about it, or we forget about the importance of it. Yeah, we miss it. We don't remember it. Yeah, and then we don't do it, and then we get more what is more entangled in it, and in the normal way of being. And therefore, yeah, what you wrote in the other message, which others cannot see, then yeah, we cannot really abide in Rigpa or the ordinary mind, which is the same thing. Rigpa or ordinary mind, it's just more, Rigpa is more used in the Nyingma context, and ordinary mind is more used in the Kachu context. And you're saying that these are labels. Yes, I mean, they are words and labels, but of course they are like designating the real thing. But when we talk about it, yes, then we use language, we use concepts, we use letters, and then we create these words. But in meditation, of course, in practice, we are not resting in these words, but we are resting in what these words refer to. And so it's not, so therefore it's a possibility. It's like this pointing at the moon. So the words are pointing at the moon, and the words are, of course, not the real thing. But still the words help us, and if we say ordinary mind, for example, if we use that term, that helps us to understand already a lot intellectually, that it's not like it's not about becoming more complex or more elaborated or sophisticated, but that there's an ordinariness or simplicity, that is the aim. And ordinary mind also means, yeah, it's still something alive, it's something sentient, it's something aware, something that is conscious and not a material thing. So even though these are only terms, but still they're like well chosen, and so they can help us to at least intellectually understand what it is about. But yeah, we never get enlightenment through intellect, but the intellect is only helping us to sort of know which direction to go. Either like Madhyamika is saying where not to go, and then Yogacara or Buddha nature teachings are showing us where to go. But then the actual going or the actual practicing, that is then possible, and only then we realize Rigpa or ordinary mind. And yeah, but as you wrote in the other message, yeah, we forget easily, because yeah, things are, I mean, many things in the world are made to distract us, to lure us somewhere, to tempt us somewhere, so that they can make business, for example, And so there's so much things in the world that try to stimulate desire in us, or distraction. And so therefore, yeah, we're losing this simple thing, this profound thing, this good thing, this direct thing, to remain in the nature of mind. So therefore, yeah, either you remember it, you remind yourself, you yourself remind yourself about it, or you maybe read inspiring books like biographies of masters, or you try to be around masters who reintroduce you, we need this to counteract our tendency of being distracted. Okay, Lucas.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question on, I think it's a very classical question, but I would like to know, again, I think already some answers, but each time I'm not so convinced about the importance of receiving transmission of a text before studying it, or a prayer before using it. That's the first thing. And my second one is, let's say we want to study a text, for example, a long one for which we don't have the transmission like the Avatamsaka Sutra. Should we still study this text if we don't have the transmission? What's really the difference? Yeah, around this question.
Yeah, so Dzongtse Khyentse Rinpoche is usually saying we don't need a long or oral transmission for Sutrayana texts, like Bodhisattva or Avatamsaka Sutra, we would not really need it. But nevertheless, it's given, for connection or blessing. But he thinks it's not really necessary. But nevertheless, he's sometimes doing those things too. But in Vajrayana, it is sort of one of the three main pillars, that we really that we are really part of the lineage, that we are really part of the blessing, or that we are really entrusted. So the other things are, of course, empowerment, and then the oral transmission, and then the practice instructions. So in Vajrayana, this is necessary. So that, for example, when we want to practice Guru Yoga of Longchenpa, then we need to find a master nowadays who has received these three things, and the oral transmission is part of it, from his or her master, and so on, so that it really goes back to Jigme Lingpa and then goes back to Longchenpa, just to make sure that we are and let's say Dzongtse Khyentse Rinpoche would be the living master who is that and who would give us these transmissions. So he's then sort of linked to Longchenpa directly in an uninterrupted way, and ideally he would also check if we are like the appropriate vessel for the lineage, and he's giving us the so that we have this direct connection with Longchenpa, or indirect, but uninterrupted at least. So, but tell me more. Why? So it's definitely a Vajrayana thing, and it sort of safeguards a lot in the lineage and for the practitioner. And it's not called empowerment, but still, like, it enables us to, they say, then you get the blessing and all of that, so that you understand it also well, what you're reading or practicing. What do you think, Lucas? Is that superstition?
No, I think it's interesting, but I think that somehow my rational mind is still, I still have my skeptical mind, because I get the idea, but for example, when it's very long in a language you don't understand, or when it's read very, very fast. And I think this brings me to another question, that is, what actually do we mean by blessing in Buddhism? Because I think this only rings theistic bells in my mind, that I don't know if I understand very well what we mean by blessing.
Yeah, that is also a good question. I think it is, I guess, that what happens when there is a authentic master and a devoted student, if these two come together, then like thanks to interdependence, this can happen. And this happens, of course, in our mind. You know, it's not that the guru or the master is pouring really blessing in us, you know, even though Abhisheka in its original term, Abhikensa, sort of means like pouring of blessing. But it's also, yeah, so it's not really like external or theistic, but then it's so because it's happening in our mind, it's that which transforms our mind, or that is what is taming our negativities. This is how you could understand it. So it's not 100% coming from external, from like a God kind of being, but it's also not independent on that, on the presence of that authentic master, you know. So therefore, yeah, the authenticity and the realization of that master is important. But then again, if we are like Devadatta and sitting next to Buddha our entire life and not receiving anything, that shows that it's also our receptivity that is important. And that is what I meant earlier with devotion. So that is, yeah, equally important. So, and if these two come together, then it's happening. But if one is missing, yeah, most of it is missing. But it's basically the ability then to transform our mind, you know, or to see clearly. What do you think, Lucas?
So what you say, for me, it resembles kind of the definition of merit, no?
Yeah,
Like
merit is also similar, yeah.
Okay.
But
it would be some kind of merit that comes from a source that kind of enables to unlock some kind of merit.
Yeah, but it's not coming from a source, because we are also part of the source, you know, our devotion itself is the source also. So it's really this coming together, and then sort of the magic happens. Yeah, merit is definitely more like a sutra term, and in Vajrayana we talk more about the blessing then. But yeah, Rinpoche also in Sutrayana terms, like if he's defining merit, it's a little bit similar, yeah, like that which brings us closest to the truth, you know. I think Asanga is saying that which creates like the atmosphere of an open and vast mind, and therefore wisdom can dawn. So it's similar to what happens through the transformation thanks to blessing. But in the end, that is all what has to happen anyway, you know. But I think, yeah, important thing is still the law of interdependence is sort of happening. And yeah, it's definitely not a theistic thing.
Okay, I get it.
But
it would be
it's
like
yeah,
maybe a little bit your master or whoever gives the blessing, let's say, would kind of provide the right conditions for you to see what there is to see, or to understand what there is to understand. Maybe something like that.
yes. If we use do you play any instrument? Guitar?
I used to.
Good.
I was extremely bad.
But still, you know, like you know, this, what is it? There's a word for it. Anyway, if you have two guitars, you know, and they're tuned in the same way, you know, properly, and then you hit one string on one guitar, you know, then the string on the same string on the other guitar will also resonate. That's the word, you know. So something like that, you know. So like the guru's activated Buddha nature is sort of activating our Buddha nature also, you know. And that happens because we have the Buddha nature, but that also needs to happen only because the guru's Buddha nature is activated. So, and yeah, if we are like tuned differently, then nothing will happen, you know. But there is a intersubjectivity, you know, like usually in Buddhism, we don't talk too much about it, but we only talk about material things, you know, how they're dependent on each other, but also mind and mind, you know, in Yogacara teachings, this is very emphasized, how they also can interact with each other and influence each other. And therefore, yeah, if we have devotion and just sitting in the presence of our master that who is authentic, then that already makes a big thing, like he or she is mixing up sort of the seeds in our consciousness, and therefore what ripens next might be different already, so there's it's not, yeah, again, it's interdependence, it's not totally 100% up to him or her, and it's not totally 100% up to us.
Okay, thank you. I like this answer. Sounds good.
Finally,
Thanks.
Okay, Chris, Ivani.
Thank you for doing this, Arne. I appreciate this. I have a couple questions, but even if we just answer one is fine. Attending Drupal Kuntu, for example, a couple of years ago, I was there for a couple of weeks in the beginning, and there was so many empowerments that were given, and there was one that I particularly have been following up with, wanting to know if it's okay to practice it, and but I don't know if in fact that particular one is the same one that, well, it was a Red Saraswati sadhana empowerment that Rinpoche gave, and I'm not quite sure, is it possible to sort of find that particular liturgy somewhere, or any Red Saraswati liturgy, and be able to practice it? Or does it have to be that specific empowerment that was given by Rinpoche?
So we have the Cancer Vision project. Do you know about that?
Yes.
And there we are translating all these Dr. Kundu related sadhanas. And I'm just checking if that one is already there.
There is a Red Saraswati there. I've seen it and it's lovely. I just don't know if it's the same one. And I've put out word to a couple of folks there and still haven't heard from them. But is it what I'm getting from you is that it should be the same one before you can start even looking at it, right?
Yeah, but that is the one here. Wait, I'll show you that screen. Let's not overshare stuff. Here, this one. Here's our wonderful Cancer Vision project.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Side. Thank you. And here, this is in the Dr. Kundu section. I was looking for Dr. Kundu. And here we have the Red Saraswati.
Yeah.
I think that could be the one. But write me an email. I can check also with others.
I did read if you open that up, there's a number of different tabs, and one of them has about the information about the, I think it's the about, and in there it talks about it, but it's not really, it doesn't specifically say that this particular one was the one that Rinpoche gave,
but he gave it in Dr. Kundu, Isn't that close enough?
Yeah. So you think it might be?
I also have the entire list what we received in Dr. Kundu. I can also double check.
I've seen that list as well. And
Yeah,
it's still not absolutely definitive, but are you saying that it needs to be, if Rinpoche gave the empowerment for a particular sadhana, that particular sadhana has to be the same? You can't just practice any Red Saraswati liturgy that you can find out there, right?
Yes, that I would say, but still, if it's from the same cycle, that is pretty close.
Yeah.
But do you know exactly the one that you received and want to practice? I mean,
Oh no, it's just the one that we were just looking at the vision site is the one that I have a copy of it, but I haven't even read it because I don't know if I'm authorized to even look at it.
No, but if you have been there, then you have received it.
At Drupta Puntu, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. This is from Dr. Kundu cycle.
Oh, okay.
And
From
he
what
gave it.
Rinpoche gave. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That makes my day.
Cheers to that.
Yes, and I have another question. Also, real briefly, so we have received lots of teachings and lots of empowerments, as you mentioned, and lots of different levels, I would say. Some that are very high and some that are lower. How does one negotiate, setting up the idea of what to practice? I mean, I know this kind of relates to an earlier question, but let's say, for example, an Ana-yoga Tantra as opposed to something that is, higher, as it were, Mahati kind of stuff. How do you know if you're not going a little too fast, maybe, because we don't have a sort of like a direct guidance, let's say, from an instructor or from Rinpoche directly, or is this something that you ask Rinpoche?
Ideally, this is good if the guru could decide it. But then also he's saying, guys, I have given you all this. You do what you want, like you are now empowered, you have all the permissions to do it.
Yeah.
So and therefore in other contexts, he then also says, yeah, whatever inspires you, you do that,
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully, like this is true what I said to Lucas earlier, like things because you got the permissions and the empowerment and the transmission, then it's sort of safeguarded that you will do it well and not that is not too high or whatever. But the highness of a practice is also often dependent on your view, and sometimes even if you have a higher view than the practice, then the practice becomes a higher practice, and other way around also, so so if you have a lower view and doing a higher practice, let's say, it becomes like a lower practice just because this is your capability. So that could also safeguard it a little bit.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Markus.
Yeah, it works, doesn't it?
I don't know if
Okay.
you want to test the mic. It's working, yes.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I've turned on. When you answered the question to Lucas, I had in mind, it came to my mind that something very subtle is going on also in sound between teacher and student that cannot be described. I mean, not mentioning the connection to previous teachers and authenticity, but yeah, that's beyond words for me.
Yes.
And then I thought there's so much spoken about heart-to-heart connections. Then I'm wondering how about the other organs like liver and kidneys and so on and so forth. Like, for instance, in Chö, you offer different parts of the body, different organs.
Yeah.
So is it something you know about that, Arne? The physician, maybe not the physician anymore. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Heart connection, I think, is just used like in the West. Also, we think the heart is sort of the main tender thing in us, and a central thing, central function. And in the Tibetan tradition, even though it's not philosophically correct, it is also like understood as being maybe the seat of the mind or something. So as you know, they're not pointing here as my mind, but they would point to the heart. So I guess it's a mind to mind or wisdom to wisdom or Buddha nature to Buddha nature connection that is meant. But from my knowledge, I don't know, in Tibetan, I don't know if they really talk about the other organs. In Chinese medicine, they do, they have in all this solid organs, like what you mentioned, kidney, liver, lung, heart is not really solid, but it's said like that. And I'm missing one.
In Chö, definitely.
What?
In Chö, definitely. I think, as far as I remember, in the red offering, specific organs are mentioned.
Yeah, they mentioned. No, but what I wanted to say is in Chinese medicine, they are saying like each organ, there's another aspect of the mind living in it,
Thank you.
That is the interesting thing for me in Chinese medicine. So they're saying the lung, there's the instinct, and so if you have
Got it.
oh, yeah, and then sadness is the problem that creates lung problems and so on. And yeah, kidneys with fear, and but the opposite, of course, self-confidence, and liver is more like where the emotional part is, of the mind. But yeah, in the end, we know, from Shantideva, for example, in the 9th chapter, that the mind has no substance, so also it cannot have a location, So the mind is everywhere or nowhere, whatever. And yeah, it's not tangible, it's not graspable, it doesn't have color, shape, anything. So therefore, yeah, I think this heart-to-heart connection is more like a very it's just a level of convention, to represent a mind-to-mind connection, or like important part of me connecting with an important part of you. Okay, then Matthias. And thank you guys, you're writing me stuff in the chat. I will also try to come back to that.
Yeah, hello. You spoke about the Anuta Yoga and so on. Even though I've heard about these different yogas in the past again and again, but I've never got the concept of these different yogas, which role they play, and uh, there's a higher yoga, there's a not so high yoga. So for me, I took empowerment as an empowerment, even though it was mentioned it belongs to this yoga or to that yoga. But what is the concept behind, and what do in my daily practice or so, what is the difference if doing one yoga or the other yoga or so? So can you please lift a little bit this cloud of not knowing about these karyas of these concept? Thank you.
Sure. So we are talking, this is in the realm of Vajrayana, of course, and yeah, there we talk about different tantra classes, and depending on from which tradition we are coming from, we talk about 4. But then, like in the Nyingma tradition, the 4th one, for example, what the Kachi is talking about, the 4th one is then divided further into 3, and then we have 6 in the Nyingma tradition. Anyway, the point is, we have there are like different tantra classes, different levels of practice and refinement of the view, and they have like all, the thing is, Buddha taught 84,000 teachings, which means like 84,000 methods to address 84,000 problems. So so I'm saying it is good that we also within Tantra have so many methods to address the person with his or her specific problem. And so the difference basically between these different yogas is that they're emphasizing a little bit different things. Like, let's say in the Kriya Yoga, in the first Tantra class, like the purity, outer purity is more emphasized, and the deity is more a little bit more external, and you're lower, so it's there's a hierarchy involved, and you're more praying to the deity, and that hierarchy, dualism, and emphasis on purity is then different over the next yogas or tantra classes, where the deity becomes more like a peer, or even you become the deity, and where we are not having like a pure conduct anymore, but I think we had this discussion earlier, about the tzok, then we are even like intentionally eating dirty things, like, or consuming dirty things, or intentionally meaning like we use everything on the path, like if we only focus on purity, then there's a strong preference to purity, and then therefore an avoidance of impurity. But then if our view develops, and then different methods can be taught, and then we are going beyond this having what is pure and avoiding what is impure, but we are able to embrace both of it more and more, you know, and then intentionally, that is what we talked earlier about, we're also consuming impure substances. Tell me more, Matthias, what is unclear?
Yeah, this already gave me a hint with this deities, and so this was one good point because I knew some sadhanas you just pray to the goddess, and in some you much more are in union with it, and you are the one. So I noticed this difference, but so this is one criteria of the yogas. Now you said. This is could be one
Yeah.
criteria of the yoga, yeah. So, and also with what you mentioned, I know this one sadhana I had, this was very much focused on you have to shower first, you have to clean first and everything. So on the cleanliness, and then on the other sadhanas really use, as you said, everything. And also the dirt and everything to lose every concept of pure and impure and everything. So that makes a bit more sense to me now, that there is just a category for okay, there are different methods, and now it's a little bit categorized in 4 or 6 categories or yogas. Okay, so that's fine for the moment for me, at least.
Maybe
Thanks.
one other perspective is also like the the intensity of our klesha or negative emotion that can be dealt with that particular method. So the classic example is desire. Let's say we have very small desire, you know, like if you go dating, you know, you go to the bar and then that somebody is just looking at you, that is already satisfying your desire, you know. If you have that amount of desire that is already satisfied if somebody is looking at you, then, for example, that is then the first Tantra class is appropriate for you because the methods are on that level, you know, they're not super strong, but they are good enough to work with that kind of desire that is so easily satisfied, let's say. But then the next desire, I think, was like you need that this person is smiling at you, you know, so only then you are satisfied. Or the next desire is that it is only satisfied when you are holding hands, you know. And then the last desire, and now we are talking about 4 levels, so this is referring to the 4 Tantra classes, then the last desire is only satisfied or satiated if you really have like sexual union with that person, you know. So therefore, the Tantra classes are also built around that, you know, like how strong your emotions are, you know, and then the methods are accordingly.
Okay, this was very helpful. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Then Aneska.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Arne. Yes, please, I need to understand more about the bodhicitta. So I have the question. I still don't understand how bodhisattva can wait to be liberated until all beings are liberated. You know, my intellectual part somehow can't believe it that it's possible. So this is first question, and second is I work as a therapist, and my work is based on helping others, but there is still some certain boundaries which help to avoid to burn out. So the question is, how can burnout be prevented on bodhisattva path when self is still there, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, if it's clear for you, my question.
The first one, how can a bodhisattva still wait to be liberated? Yeah, himself or herself. Yeah.
Yeah, that you know that until all beings be liberated. So
Yeah.
so yeah, this.
Okay, the first question. So in Buddhism, we talk about 3 types of bodhisattvas courage, you know, like 3 different courage. Maybe you have heard about the king-like, the fairy man or fairy woman, and the shepherd-like courage. Have you heard that? So,
Little.
so they say the king-like courage is like, I want to attain enlightenment. I will become the king, and then I help everyone else, you know?
Huh?
That is like the king-like example. And then the ferryman or ferrywoman type is like, okay, let's all jump into my boat and we reach the other shore at the same time. So like, okay, let's attain enlightenment together. And the last one is the shepherd, you know, like who is walking behind the sheep, and he or she is saying, "Hiya." Yes, that he is saying, and also the shepherd is saying, "Okay, you guys first and me last," you know. And yeah, interestingly, this shepherd-like courage, like the readiness to let others be enlightened first and me being the last, is praised as the best, you know? And it doesn't make sense practically, I think. And I'm not alone with that thinking. But from the motivation, it's the best, you know, that you're not caring about your own enlightenment, but that you're ready to wait, that you're ready to help others, that you give priority to others. What did Trump say? America first or something. So like we say others first, you know, like that is the shepherd-like motivation. That is the best motivation. That is totally agreed upon. But then practically, you have to know the way, you know, you have to be out of the prison to liberate others. So therefore, practically, it is said that the king-like courage is the best, you know, that you attain Buddhahood first, and then that you know the way, that you know how to guide others. Otherwise, yeah, if you're not enlightened, how can you bring somebody to enlightenment? So therefore, they're saying, yeah, if you have that great motivation of a shepherd, then that even it doesn't make sense practically, but motivation-wise, it makes sense. And thanks to that great motivation, you become actually very quickly enlightened. So you become like the king, actually, without striving for it. And then, or the queen, and then you know the enlightenment, you know the path, and then you can actually help others. And then a friend of mine recently said, and then he thinks, and that makes so sense, you know, according to Khenze Rinpoche's teachings also. And then what about the ferry woman and ferryman motivation? That is basically then once you are enlightened, then from your point of view, everybody is enlightened, you know. So actually then you and the others are reaching the goal at the same moment, because if you are enlightened, you don't have any causes in your mind that could create an unenlightened perception. Hello. And and so sweet, that child. And so yeah, so therefore they all go hand in hand, and they're like relative understandings of the same thing. And because they are relative, they are true for whatever point of view you have. So yeah, again, from the motivation, it's best to let others do it first, and you are happy to wait. But then practically, you will become the first, and then you are able to help others. And once you become a Buddha, you will see everybody as a Buddha also. So
Yeah.
that is the second. And then
Yeah.
does that make sense so far?
Yes, thanks.
And then the burning out, yeah, that is a big thing. Here also Michael and Maria, who were also there, like I think in Kassel 99, Rinpoche was talking about that, yeah, about burnout, you know, this comes when we are too goal orientated. And in this 99 teachings, he was saying like something like yeah, let's say let's say you have a partner, and this partner is alcoholic, you know, that was his example. And yeah, you have so much the goal to free this person from this addiction. And you're only satisfied sort of if that goal is achieved. And for Rinpoche, this is like too goal orientated, because your partner could have been alcoholic since like 3,000 lifetimes, you know, and then of course your 50 years of marriage will not be strong enough to solve that. So therefore, then I talked with Dzogchen Ponab Rinpoche about it, and he said, therefore you do your best you can, but then you let go, you know, but do your best, you know, but don't fixate on the goal, but just do whatever you can to bring him or her out of that addiction. But yeah, don't expect to make it be really successful, you know, you do your best and then that's it, you know, but no expectations or for a result, you know.
Yeah.
So these two Rinpoches sort of put together said that. And then there was also the classic example is Avalokiteshvara, right? Who was like working all day to empty the hells. What's happening on your side? What is this? Oh, so Avalokiteshvara was working a whole day, you know, and he then in the evening came to Buddha Shakyamuni and said, look, I emptied all the hells, you know, I've liberated all the hell beings. And then when he was looking at the hells again, he saw actually, no, they are full again, you know, so many more beings are there, you know. And then he was very discouraged, you know, because he didn't reach the goal, and it was obvious that this will take much more effort and much more longer time. So Buddha, I think, told him, please, my dear, don't be discouraged, you know. And he gave, I think, two main answers. One answer is, whatever you do, you know, always know it's illusion-like, it's dream-like. So that sort of takes the solidity of it. So that is one answer, I think, against burnout also, you know, to have more playfulness, you know, more lightness with everything, and not things not getting too solidified and heavy. And then the second answer what Buddha gave to Avalokiteshvara was, and the time that all beings get, or the time that it takes to attain liberation, you know, we normally say it's like 3 countless kalpas, so it's like immensely long. He says, Buddha says, it's just as long as like a spark takes from a fire to land on the ground, you know.
Yeah.
So the relativity of time, basically. So that was Buddha's advice for Avalokiteshvara's burnout, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. It's helping for me.
Good.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I also got another question, but maybe I write to them. Is there anything in person here live? Okay, here's one question I got. Maybe let's start with that. I will show it on the screen because that is interesting, because Pema was mentioning Arthur Rinpoche earlier, who passed away last month. Here, if my future partners subscribe a different religion, what should I do, or how should I approach it? I don't think she will understand it when I do my Dharma practice. Some advice said that I keep a secret, as you do not want other person to have wrong views. So I need keep it as a secret. Find excuse when I go to India for teaching and attend pujas and so on. Yeah, so so Pema Clark earlier mentioned Arthur Rinpoche, and he was also, I invited him often to Berlin. He was teaching here, and you know, he married like a good friend of Frida Bedi, and she was a Christian, is still a Christian, you know. So Arthur Rinpoche, a Tibetan Buddhist master, marrying like very Christian woman, and that worked very well, They stayed together for many, many decades. And yeah, I once talked with him about it, and he said, yeah, basically like better a good Buddhist than a bad Christian, and better be a good Christian than a bad Buddhist. So they totally agreed that they both have their religion, and also they have kids, and they totally agreed not to yeah, impose anything on anyone. And they're just, yeah, I think like this live and let live kind of situation. They yeah, they knew this is the best for him. So she knew this is the best for him, and he knew this is the best for her. So yeah, no need, to convert or to compete or anything. That is also what I heard once the Dalai Lama say in Germany, that yeah, if he would be asked which religion or tradition or whatever is the best, the Dalai Lama said he would say, for me, Buddhism is the best, but that is not the absolute truth, but for others, maybe something else is better, but then, yeah, if one is really in a relationship, I think it is impossible to hide that one is a Buddhist, and it's also not so necessary. The Vajrayana parts, maybe it's better to not expose, because they are deities and union, and yeah, again, strange things that we offer or use, and it's then maybe that should be kept secret anyway, even among Buddhists, but from different sanghas maybe, or different levels. But of course, in regards to non-Buddhists, one should keep that secret. But yeah, it's no problem to show that you're a Buddhist, and maybe also you, let's say a Bodhisattva, ideally, like or Bodhisattva in training. So meaning like it's good, I mean, to show that you are caring for the world, that you are caring for the people, that you try to develop more love and compassion and respect, and be less self-centered and so on. And then also, thanks to Buddhism, make progress on that journey. That would be very inspiring, I think, for others, to see it. So my point is, yeah, you don't have to talk about much that you are Buddhist and what great things you do. Second, yeah, keep Vajrayana secret. Third, nevertheless, live it, live Buddhism, and in an inspiring way, because they will see you as a representative of Buddhism. And fourthly, yeah, but of course, fourthly, be open, if this person has questions. And fifth, yeah, let the partner do, I think in your case, her own thing, or his own thing. Yeah, her own thing. Yeah, I think these would be my points. Okay, and I think you wrote me another thing. I will just answer to you because it's a little bit long. No, maybe let's look at it since you wrote it. I try to summarize it. Please have 2 minutes patience, dear Lucas. So yeah, this is from another person, but doesn't matter. But the thing is, somebody is, let's say, addicted to porn, masturbation, and yeah, how to work with that. Is it negative in Buddhism, and maybe especially in Vajrayana? Are there any unwanted consequences, implication? Yeah, because it's yeah, because it creates some happiness, but it then because of that, then of course it's becoming addicted. And yeah, so how you write it, I guess Rinpoche would say don't what is it, the word? Don't be too angry with yourself or something like that, you know. But yeah, from Buddhist point of view, yes, it's very easy to get addicted to things, and especially desire. You know, the classic example is like following one's desire is like drinking salty water. It feels like good at the moment because you're drinking stuff, or salty lime soda in India, I don't know. And then it feels good because you're drinking stuff, but because you're adding salt, it actually dehydrates you more and you become more thirsty. So that is sort of how they explain that desire is not really like exhausting itself, you know, if you follow it. I think there's some traditions or some sects or whatever, they say, okay, let's have so much sex so that we are getting tired of it, you know. From Buddhist point of view, that is not working because, yeah, they think of the salty water drinking business. And so, yeah, and in that case, it is, yeah, addiction always is like limiting, you know, and is overwhelming our mind and takes away the space and the capacities, you know. One is becoming like one-pointedly focused in a bad way. So that is like a non-dogmatic unwanted consequence, you know, of being addicted to those kind of things. And it can even control too much of our lives, that we're not able to do the things that we should do or want to do. So that is one point, you know, to try to reflect on the disadvantages of it. You know, like smoking gives cancer. You know, if we are more aware of the disadvantages, then it's more easy to stop it. And then, yeah, try to then also know the advantages of not being addicted to anything. You know, this more relaxed mind, you can really focus, you can do the things you want to do and have to do and stuff. And you have much more potential, certainly, or much more capacity. And so, but then, yeah, how to stop it is difficult, you know, that difficult, but it's 100% possible. That is what the Buddha Nature's teachings are telling us, right? Like the addiction is just a very superficial thing, is only temporarily covering our true nature, which is beyond all addictions and all negative emotions. So the point is, yeah, that we have that sanity in us, you know, and it's just very covered and obscured by the addiction. But the addiction is not something that is really us, but it's removable. So that is sort of the view of the Buddha nature teachings. And then, yeah, we could sort of then try like jump to the highest teachings, you know, and just try this, what the other gentleman or lady, I forgot, talked about Rigpa or ordinary mind, is more or less try to rest in Buddha nature and so on. And whenever the desire to do something like that, follow the addiction comes, you know, that we don't engage, you know, just let these desires come and go by themselves, you know, and by that it's liberating easily and naturally. But that is very difficult. So then maybe we go one level down, you know, and one level down would be, for example, Vajrayana, where we see ourselves as a deity, like the personification of that Buddha nature, and understand that this is our true nature, and we more identify with that instead of the addicted personality. And then, yeah, whatever practices we do involving deity could be a very strong method. And if that also not works, we can go a level down and do the general Mahayana practice, you know, that we work on desire, for example, by seeing, yeah, the side effects, or seeing the negativity of it, or by practicing letting go, and maybe also focusing on loving kindness and stuff, you know. And then if that doesn't work, we can even go to Shravakayana, where we really avoid any situation that could trigger that addiction, you know. So maybe not drinking alcohol in case that would trigger it, you know, or not opening our computer or TV in the evening, you know, something like that. Yeah, so there are like different levels, and one can always start high, but it might not work. So therefore, one has to go to the lower level, and of course, one can apply different ones. Yeah, and then from Vajrayana point of view, yeah, from Buddhist point of view, so that's what's your question. Yeah, it's not, yeah, it just enhances one's desire, you know, and it gets stronger and stronger. So one has to break the cycle. And yeah, of course, and from Vajrayana point of view, it's also very disturbing for the subtle body and the mental, and the mind and the physical body, you know, to do this too much. Yeah. Okay, that was my attempt to that. And then Lucas, and then I think we close maybe.
Yeah, I have a question on, let's say we are trying to work with pride. Actually, my question is especially about pride. And we, for me, I think this is a problem, a big problem. And let's say I do practices to work with this problem and to whatever antidote it is, or prostration, or whatever practice supposed to aim particularly at this. And I feel like very often when I do this, I feel like even these antidotes make me proud one way or another. I feel like even these somehow they get contaminated one way or another. And many times, I don't know, I read things about that. It's very important to keep the practices pure from what you're trying to, you know, work with, or because if not, everything gets messed up. And so I think this is for me a source of confusion, or I don't know what to do.
But yeah, so I think our practice is per definition imperfect, right? Because we are on the path. And so yeah, classically we say our ego will hijack parts of it anyway, you know, and only like a Buddha would practice perfectly without pride coming in or other emotions coming in. But a Buddha doesn't even need to practice because he or she is already at the result. But since we are not at the result, therefore we need practice. And since we are not at the result, therefore our practice will be also very imperfect. And yeah, pride is definitely easy to come in, and yeah, and it's of course the same problem as if I'm proud of being a good car driver, or if I'm proud of being a good practitioner. That is not really a difference in my mental state. It's just a different object, but that is not a big thing, not a big difference. But tell me more. So, what is yeah?
I think it's exactly what you said. It's like, if in my everyday life, I think things when I meet people or what that make me realize that, wow, I really have like, you know, a form of, how do we say in French, it's condescendance, a form of pride or comparison with others. And I notice that more and more. And then when I start to practice, I want to do practices that, you know, will target specifically these things like prostrations or some prayers in which, like there's a guru yoga prayer calling to the guru from Jamon Control Lodrotai, I think that's his name.
Yeah.
In which he says everything. Basically, he says, I'm such a bad practitioner, I'm such bad, and every time after he says, please Guru, bless me, or love, look swiftly upon me with compassion, something like that. I feel like even when I do that, I feel immediately proud that I'm able to say all that, and then I feel like it's not having the right effect. And every time I do things I'm supposed to, you know, that are supposed to lower my pride, I think like it just moves the object of my pride somehow on another object. Yeah, I guess something like that.
Yeah, interesting. But I mean, just enjoying that you have the prayer, or I mean, pride usually is a little bit defined that you feel better than others, right? But you could have just joy in doing what you do. But are you really comparing yourself with others?
It's not it's, for example, I don't to tell you very. It's for example doing a prayer or practice, I get a little bit distracted, so I'm thinking about something else, and I would see that when I come back, I realize what thought I was having in my mind. I see that the thought I was having were super proud thought, like seeing myself on the throne or something like that. These kind of things. So really pride in itself, really pure pride.
And are others in the scenario when you're on the throne or not?
No, this I think I had very recently, like yesterday or so. It's the most fresh I have in mind.
No, I mean, are there other people also around when you're on the throne, or is it not related to other people?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, my teachers. Like I'm on the cell.
Okay.
I think what is subtly on my mind is like I'm on the same level.
It sounds like Shantideva and
even,
okay.
But like when I think about that, immediately it's like it makes me kind of angry, or I'm thinking, I'm doing this, and how come I have this? Like, I'm not happy to think that, like, but I see these thoughts coming in my mind.
Okay.
Often.
Okay, about the anger, that doesn't help. So let's say the first thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just talk like roughly. But yes, you have a problem that you have pride. Fine, But then you will have a second problem if you are angry that you have pride, right? That second problem you definitely should not have, Otherwise, you have two problems, because anger is also.
Or maybe it's not anger. Maybe it's not anger. It's rather, from disappointment or sorrow, or little sorrow.
But then it's good. I mean, as I said, we will have all kinds of emotions, but then that is sort of okay if we leave it like that. But if we recognize them, and if we even like regret that we have them, that is actually a good thing, So, but that these things come up, that can happen, and of course it's interesting. Your things seem to be very explicit in one direction. That's interesting. But I would just like not pay. Maybe the trick is not to pay attention to it. It just comes. And then then your meditation could be like as soon. So your meditation could be that you try to notice it as soon as it arises and get as little entangled in it as possible. This frightful visions, and then if you're not anger would be a problem, but if you're disappointed, that's actually sort of a good voice, that you can do better. It's not about that, but I would more like not touch it much, but just let it exhaust itself. I don't know if that would work.
Yeah, okay, I get what you say. I think it's I like this advice.
It's more like a meditative approach, instead of analyzing it or trying to apply many antidotes, but it's just like, okay, it's just one meditation experience that comes, and then it will also go. But if you want to apply an antidote is to pride, I like the antidote of Buddha nature, that we remember that we are all Buddha by nature equally, we are on that level, we are all exactly the same. We only have a little bit varying obscurations around it. That is the only difference. So therefore we are not better than others, and we are not worse than others, like by nature. For me, that helps. But
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think Emilia wants also to say something to your thing.
Hi, Arne. Hello.
Hello.
Arne, look, recently I received some empowerments, and I didn't know that I'm gonna say the Lama would come with having to do a sadhana and some additional practices. Anyway, I missed a day that I didn't do the sadhana. I mean, I've been doing every day, but then I was just so exhausted. I just didn't do it. And then I started to feel really, really bad about it. It's like, is there a way to make it up? If I go on the following day and I do it twice, is there a way to compensate? I couldn't, my mind just couldn't do, even with coffee, I just couldn't. So how does that go?
Yeah, I think you will be in hell very soon. What to do?
That's what I didn't want to hear.
No, don't worry. Yeah, I think similar to the previous one, like that you are regretting it, that you didn't do it. That's a good thing, you know. You know, Rinpoche is often talking about that. You know, Milarepa is saying that, you know, like, or like let's use Rinpoche's recent example. You know, like he's saying to him, people come and some say, "Oh, I'm a CEO, I cannot practice," you know, but I should. And it's so sad that I'm not practicing. And the other group of people are saying, "Oh, I did 100,000 this and that," you know. And he is saying he likes the first one, you know, the ones who really like have an authentic yearning to practice, but then but not doing it, sort of, and but they really mean it, and they really have the strong voice, you know, that is sad about not practicing enough. So likewise, yeah, if you feel so bad that you missed one day, that sadness is maybe also a practice, no? And maybe that substitutes for the sadhana.
Okay, I felt so guilty because like, wow, I didn't see as optional, you know, and then when you were told you have to practice a sadhana, it didn't come with a deadline. I'm like, well, I mean, I didn't even feel comfortable to ask if there was a deadline. It's just so, well, I suppose I'll just go until I next meet that same Lama, and then I ask. I don't know.
What is
Is
the
there such
question?
a thing as a deadline for a sadhana?
No, usually it's a daily commitment. So that means like from the sunrise until next sunrise.
A daily commitment, but do you continue doing it for what? 5 years, 10 years?
One life,
15
maybe.
years?
Usually it's lifelong. There's not like, but it depends. Some teachers say, okay, now for 3 months do this, but usually it is the commitment for now. Yeah. For
Okay. Okay, but I'll check it out. Well, anyway, I hope I see the same Lama again.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly. If you have doubts or if it's too overwhelming, then I think the first thing what I talked with Pema in the beginning, yeah, you could check with that Lama who empowered you, or you can check with your main Lama if he or she can essentialize your commitments to something else even, you know.
I enjoy doing it. It's just that it's like even 2-3 hours a day, which I don't think it should be a big deal, but some days it is.
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
you know, with as usual, with the work stuff, and then I get home and it's not that I left the work behind. I still have stuff to do.
I know. And yeah, there's also that much time, that much energy and stuff, of course. I think 2 or 3 hours is a lot.
Yeah, because it's Rio Sancho too and other,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. Thank you, Arne.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, everyone. Let's maybe conclude. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Let's conclude with a prayer by Dolpokpa for the longevity of the Dharma, basically. May I, in each and every lifetime, carry the weight of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, and if I cannot bear that weight, at the very least may be born with the burden of thinking that the Buddha Dharma could reign. Yeah, thank you so much for being so interactive. And I think I still have some emails left. I will answer them. And I think I copied also the chat in case there's something that I overlooked. So you will get an answer one way or the other, hopefully. And yeah, please take care. And again, thank you for joining. And bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Arne.
Stay healthy.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.